Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing really well and welcome back to my podcast, Life of an Artrepreneur. I can't believe we're in November. How quick has this year gone? I feel like October just went like that and now it's basically Christmas. I've got so much work to do before Christmas, it's actually a joke. I'm actually going to Dublin and Poland this month as well, which is not ideal timing on the run up to Christmas with everything that I've got to do. But it'll be fine. I'm trying not to stress too much. I'm going to do as much as I can and schedule as much as I can before I go and just work around it the best I can. Might even take some with me, to be honest, especially to Poland. But we'll see. I just can't believe that we're in November now. It's just scary. Ooh. One of my most requested episodes has been this one, without a doubt. And I really hope it'll help a lot of people because I'm sure most of you that are listening to this have at some point received a message inquiring about a commission or artwork and you've just had that gut feeling that something's not been quite right. I get a lot of messages from my patrons and followers on Instagram, usually a screenshot of a message that they've received asking me if it's a scam or a legit message. And I think it is so difficult to tell like what's real and what's not, especially if you're just starting out as like a full-time artist and you're trying to kind of grow your following and get more commissions and build momentum. It's hard to kind of differentiate the messages that you might receive between, you know, what's real and what's not. As an artist, in my opinion, you have to be on social media. You have to put yourself out there to get exposure, reach like a wider audience of people and just build like that whole online presence and be seen online. And by doing that, you get all the benefits like people seeing your work, you potentially get more opportunities, which leads to more exposure and more interesting commissions or inquiries into your work, whichever it might be. I see this as like turning cogs, like everything sort of grows steadily together and everything's kind of interlinked. But I guess the downside with being heavily involved with social media and like being online means you are susceptible to the different kind of scams that are out there. And unfortunately, that's like a growing concern for artists as we're targeted literally all day, every day in different ways. So hopefully this episode will give you some awareness when you're on social media, and I'll share the different kind of messages that I've received, some particular phrases to look out for and how to avoid them. So let's talk about the type of scams that you might get. First one being people trying to hack your account, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. The one that I can think of that's probably the most frequent is that I've experienced is messages on Facebook. I think I had literally like 3 in a day the other week. The more frequent they become, the more you kind of recognize the patterns within them and you can just delete, block, whatever, don't even engage in it. But they were all basically from like empty robot profiles acting as a warning saying that my page is in a policy violation. I've just posted something that's against the rules or it's about to be closed due to an error and that I need to click this link to fix the issue. Obviously, do not click any links, report the message and then block them straight away. But that's probably like 1 in a million ways that they can hack your account. I'm just giving you an example of something that I've experienced, but I'm sure they can do it a million different ways. And it's scary really because you spend so long like building up a whole profile. And if they get access to that, I mean, there's ways that you can get it back, but it's just, you just don't want that on top of all the work that you're doing already. It's just so unnecessary. The second one would be people impersonating you online, making fake profiles, pretending to be you, or posting pictures of your work saying it's theirs and then they get all the credit for it. I think people that take the time to actually do that literally need to get a life. Like, I just don't get it really. I mean, I know that people just want followers and they want them as quick as they can and they'll use whatever they can to get that. But it's not going to be a solid following if you're literally taking someone else's audience, or I don't really know. I don't get it. They need to get a life, in my opinion. But I used to get so stressed out when this happened, like in the past. I used to think like, oh, they're stealing my work, they're posting it as theirs, they've got way more followers, people are going to think that my work is theirs, I'm not going to get recognised. But you've just got to think it's completely out of your control. Like, you literally cannot do anything about it other than like watermarking your work. But even with that now, they can easily just remove it. It's just one of them things that if you do come across a fake profile that's pretending to be you or posting your work, screenshot it, put it on your story, get all of your followers to report it, and hopefully it'll get taken down. And I just think if people are posting my work as their own or pretending to be me, then, you know, I must be doing something right for them to like want to spend hours of their life doing that. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and unfortunately it can't really be avoided. Like I said, you just need to report the fake profiles, get Instagram or whatever social media it's on to take it down. But half of the time they don't really do much about it anyway. So yeah, it's just one of them. The only really, really frustrating thing with that is when they do make a fake profile pretending to be you, they start gaining followers and then they start messaging people pretending to be you, trying to scam them in whatever way it is. And when it looks like it's me that's doing that, it's not great. But a lot of the time people will screenshot their messages and send them to me and say, I think this person is pretending to be you or whatever, which I guess is helpful when you have that following who kind of look out for you a lot. Like someone posted the other day, rate my artwork from 1 to 10, and I'm like, well, hang on a minute, that's mine. Like, it's just ridiculous how many times it happens. But you just need to get quite a few people to report that profile and report the messages and stuff. That's the only thing you can do, really. You might also want to consider paying for the verification badge on Instagram, because if your following grows and people are doing this kind of thing a lot more, you want to be able to prove that you are who you say you are and your account is the only one that exists that's legit. Everything else is just a load of rubbish that people are making. And I think it comes across as more trustworthy as well. People who are genuinely interested in purchasing original artwork or inquiring about a commission or whatever it is, they know that like you are who you say you are. Like you come across as more professional and like you actually are the artist who you're saying you are. Thirdly, you might get message requests or DMs that you might receive yourself where people are inquiring about a commission or purchasing original artwork, asking you questions, giving you a sob story about why they need it for free, asking if they can buy your work for NFTs and all of this absolute rubbish. So yeah, there's so many things. I feel like this episode might be quite long because there's so many different things to talk about. But I think most of the time, if you think it looks a bit dodgy or you get that gut feeling, likelihood is that it is, and it's happening more frequently. And the annoying thing is as well, once you've kind of remembered that a certain phrase or message is definitely a scam, don't even bother with it, just block straight away. They'll adapt it and everything's just constantly developing, and like it's difficult. So you might wonder, how do they actually scam you? How does it all work? Touch wood, this has actually never happened to me. I'm going to jinx it though, aren't I, after this episode? I mean, fingers crossed it doesn't happen. But there's so many ways that they can scam you as an artist. But I'd say the most common one to look out for is someone who is saying that they're interested in a commission. You reply saying that you require a deposit or so much needs to be paid up front. You provide your PayPal email for them to send over that payment. They'll then message you saying that they've sent it and then you won't have received it. Or they might say they've tried to send it but it's not gone through because it's an issue on your part. And then shortly after you'll get an email from what looks like PayPal, but it's not if you kind of really take a closer look at it. And there'll be a link in there saying whatever related to that particular issue. And if you click that link, then you can resolve the issue. But obviously don't click any links. And I've heard in some cases that if you do click the link, it kind of ends up sending them the money that they should have sent you. I don't know. There's so many different ways that they can do it. It's quite clever, really. But as long as you're aware of how they can do it and just not to click on anything that looks even remotely slightly dodgy, then you should be okay. And I feel like it happens to so many artists now that even if you're unsure, if you just send like a screenshot to another artist and get their opinion on it, they might say, oh yeah, that person messaged me last week, or oh yeah, I had someone messaged me something similar the other week and it was just a load of rubbish. Like artists especially, they do look out for each other. So if ever you're unsure, just, like I said, screenshot and send to either me or a different artist. So what are the red flags to watch out for? Certain phrases to remember and tips for protecting yourself. So there's a lot of similar phrases that are used, and their account will usually have like no followers or very few, or no profile picture, or maybe like some generic photos on the profile or a generic like picture of a flower or something on the profile picture. I think for most of them you can tell, but some of them now it is really difficult to kind of differentiate which is real and which isn't. There's so many messages that I've literally screenshotted over the past, like, I don't know, 2-3 years, and they've all sort of changed and developed as time's gone on as well, which again is quite scary because you constantly need to be looking out for new phrases and stuff that people are sending you. There's way too many phrases to say on this episode, so what I think I'll do is say the main ones, and then I will make a list of all the other ones and attach that in the description below. Even as this episode becomes older and like the weeks go by, the months go by, they might develop different ones, or some of these might not get used as much. So do bear that in mind, but I hope it will help if you are unsure about a message that you receive. I feel like the English isn't great either, because if it's a bot, then obviously it's not going to be, is it? But there's some that I get quite often, which is like, I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw your artworks. It really got my attention. If it starts with something like that, then report, block, run for the hills. Either are you accepting or are you available for commission? I'd love to purchase your artwork as NFTs. That's probably the most frequent one. I feel like everyone in the whole world gets that, which is just so annoying. Also, I'd like you to draw a picture of my son's or daughter's pet for him or her. That's quite a frequent one recently, because it sounds like, oh, you want a pet portrait for your family member, but just look out for that. And people do change that slightly. So for example, I've screenshotted 6 here that are all kind of similar, but all slightly different, but they use sort of the same phrasing. Hi, are you open for commission? I'd like you to draw pictures of my pet for me. That doesn't even make sense. Hello, are you accepting commission? Hello, are you available for commission? I feel like people who are genuinely interested in a commission just won't say that. Like, do you know what I mean? You can kind of get that gut feeling. Hello there, I'm interested in purchasing some of your arts pieces as NFT. Hello there, I'd love to purchase some of your artworks as NFTs. Hi, your work looks interesting. I was scrolling through my Instagram when I saw your artworks. It really got my attention. Hello, are you available for commission? I'd like you to draw a picture of my son's pet for him. And hello dear, I'm Jack. I was scrolling through my Instagram when I saw your artworks. It really got my attention. So I feel like the more that you get, you think, well, that sounds similar to what I've just received 5 minutes ago. And you can kind of recognize the patterns of language and how they're wording things. But I guess for someone who is literally just starting out and they're wanting more commissions, if you get a message saying, hi, I've been scrolling through Instagram and I've come across your work and it really got my attention, then obviously you're going to be hopeful and you're going to be thinking, oh, someone really likes my work. Maybe they'll want to buy an original, or they're interested in a commission, and you carry on engaging in that conversation. And then you'll realise like later down the line that, you know, they're not actually genuine. If you reply to them and you do engage in conversation with them, it's not like you're going to be scammed straight away. They're going to need information, or you're going to need to click on a link or something like that to happen for you to get scammed. You can't just get scammed from messaging them back. So it is fine if you're not sure, just to send them a few messages and kind of get more of the vibe from them. This also doesn't just happen on social media. This happens all the time on email as well. Sometimes it gets sent to junk when it's like really obvious, and then the less obvious ones don't. And that's when you really need to be aware of what you're clicking on and reading and whatever. I think one that's really important to be aware of is people posing as galleries or competitions or exhibitions that they kind of want your work to be part of, or they're inviting you to enter something. If you've never heard of that gallery or the competition or whatever, research the gallery, ask what other artists have experienced, whether they've heard of it. You want to make sure that they're an established art organisation with like well-known judges, no hidden high fees for you as the artist. Just make sure that you know what you're entering and who the gallery is and what the whole competition that you're entering is about. Other email example I've received, not recently, but last year I received quite a few of these, and they were all literally the same exact wording. Are people saying that they're interested in purchasing original artwork and wish to complete the order over email using a different payment method to what's been set up on my website shop. So some phrases to look out for are: method of payment will be credit card. I'll prefer email order. I will be very glad if you can assist me with the order and treat it with good concern. Or I have been on the lookout for some artworks lately in regard to I and my wife's anniversary. That's a snippet of like a few that I received from last year. They all kind of started with that. And again, a similar one, but slightly different wording. I am very much interested in the purchase to surprise my wife. Or your work I found quite impressive and intriguing. You are undoubtedly good at what you do. That's another very common one. And the last one I've noted down here is, let me know if you accept check as a mode of payment. My budget for this is within the price range of $500 to $2,000. So obviously never accept payments via check unless it's like your best friend or family. You want to use a payment method that's easy for people to pay you, that's secure, that's something that you trust. You've just got to think your website shop and the payment methods are set up there for a reason. So if someone actually wanted to purchase your artwork, they'd do so in that way. Whenever I send commissions or original work, I'll always use Royal Mail. I've used DPD before. But even with like there's loads of different couriers that scammers like pretend to be. But I'll pay for my postage online. It'll get collected and then sent to the client or the customer that way, which means I do all my customs forms and everything online, which is just so much quicker and easier. But this year, a lot more frequently, I've been getting text messages from what looks like Royal Mail or Every or DPD saying that they have got the parcel, but there's some information missing on the customs label, and please click this link to finish filling that out so then they can carry on sending it over. So when you might receive that for the first time, you think, oh, well, have I not filled it out correctly? And then click on it to check. But like I said, do not click on any links. And if you've not done it right, likelihood is it'll get sent back to you anyway. If you get a text from Royal Mail or whatever it is, it'll say Royal Mail. It won't have like Royal Mail in capitals, small case, You can kind of tell. But yeah, that's another big one to look out for if you've never had that before. Anything to do with being collected or being stuck somewhere or customs labels, and it's not like a legit message from actual Royal Mail or whatever courier you use, don't click on any links. Another way that you can protect yourself is downloading the Authenticator app. This basically gives you a code for different social media or different emails every like 1 minute that you can only access on your phone through that app. So say if people get into your emails or your Instagram gets hacked or whatever, that's going to be a huge thing that will help you get that back. And you also want to have 2-step verification set up on every single social media. Just have everything as secure as you can make it. And like I said before, you might want to start watermarking your work. So putting your name or your website quite subtly, but over the top of like your like the photograph of your work that you post online. So if people steal that and post it as their own, it's literally got your name on it. And I think that can help. But a lot of the times people scroll that quickly on social media that they're not going to really zoom in and think, oh, that's not the right person. They're just going to presume that whoever's posted it is who's done the work. And with AI and stuff now, they can literally just remove that straight away. So yeah, that's a really annoying one, but you know, watermarking your work may help. So what should you do if you encounter a scam or like a scam message? The first thing to do would be to report it to whatever social media it might be on. Screenshot and share it on your stories to make other artists aware and to remind yourself as well in case you might receive something similar. They will become more reoccurring and you will start to notice like patterns with phrasing and how things are worded. But I do kind of encourage you to trust your gut instinct with that. And also refer to the list of phrases that I'll attach to this episode in the description. If you're unsure on whether someone is genuinely interested in your work or just kind of fishing for the relevant information that they might need, try and engage in small talk and kind of veer them away from what they're talking about and see if they get confused or try and veer you back to what they're talking about. And hopefully that'll show you a bit more clearly what their intentions actually are. I do think though that you'll just be able to tell most of the time if it's a genuine person behind the account or a bot. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope I've helped some of you out who might have been questioning some of the DMs that you've received recently. And, you know, like I said before, if you're still unsure, feel free to send me a screenshot and I'll see if I've had anything similar. it's so frequent at this point that it is actually a joke. And I only think it'll get worse as like scammers and bots and AI is getting smarter. So just try and stay aware. And like I said, either message me or another artist, because the likelihood is if they're targeting specifically like artists and pet portrait and wildlife artists, they'll be doing it to quite a few artists. So someone else might have received the same message and you can kind of compare notes, if you will. But yeah, thank you for listening. And if you've been watching on YouTube, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more art related content. And if you've been listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, then please share it, leave a review, and let me know what you thought of this episode. If you've had any potential scam messages or emails in the past, then comment below so people can look out for any messages that might be similar. I think that'll be a good thing. So yeah, hope you all have a lovely rest of the week, and I hope you don't get scammed. But yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll be back next week with a brand new episode.